Hello and welcome. We're going to go over the answers to that worksheet with those 8 examples and deciding which chi-squared test to use. So if you haven't yet answered all 8 of those, go back to MyHA, download the PDF, and answer all 8 of those, and then restart this video. So here we go. Just a reminder, when we're talking about chi-squared tests, here are the 3 options. We use a chi-squared goodness of fit for a one-way table. Both of these use a two-way table. And then for this type, the data comes from multiple random samples or a randomized experiment. For this type, it's one data. It comes from a single random sample. And they basically are answering different questions. This one tests to see if a distribution is the same as some distribution you're assuming is true. This tests to see if different distributions are the same or not, and this tests to see if there's an association between the two categorical variables. This is the way I decide which chi-squared test to use, so this is what I'll be referring to when we go over these. So starting with number 1. You can see that this is a one-way table. We are keeping track of just one categorical variable. We're comparing it to some assumed distribution. This is a chi-squared goodness of fit test. Next, number 2. I want to know if different types of M&Ms have the same distributions of colors. So I buy a bag of peanut, a bag of plain, and a bag of peanut butter M&Ms, and I record the number of each color in each bag. If you can imagine what this data would look like, there's no table provided, but basically I'm going to keep track of 3 different types of M&Ms. I'm going to keep track of peanut M&Ms, plain, and peanut butter M&Ms, and then here I'm going to have the count for each color. Okay, so you and so on and so on. So you can see that for this is 2 different variables I'm keeping track of. So that rules out this because this is going to be a two-way table. And then, since it's a two-way table, is this a single random sample or not a single random sample? So I buy 3 different bags of M&Ms. That's 3 different random samples. So because this came from multiple random samples and not a single random sample, this is a chi-squared test for homogeneity. Number 3, you can definitely see that this is a two-way table right away. And then, so that rules out that. It's either this or this. And then we look and see about how many random samples there were. And you can see this word right here tells you there were 3 randomly selected groups. That tells you there are 3 random samples done. So since this is not a single random sample, since it's multiple random samples, this is a chi-squared test for homogeneity. Number 4, we've got a two-way table here. And then you look to see if this was a single random sample or not. And it says right here from a random sample. Since this is from a single random sample, this is a chi-squared test for association/independence. Number 5, a study took a random sample of 348. A random sample, there's a hint right there, recorded their height and weight. Would this be a two-way table? And the answer is actually no, it would not be. That's because there's something about these 2 things that's different than what everything else we've looked at in this chapter. And the key here is that these variables are numerical or quantitative variables. They are not categorical, which means none of these are correct, because this is only, all these chi-squared tests are only for categorical variables. To analyze this, we would actually have to use something we're going to learn in Chapter 12. We could make a scatter plot of this data and then find the regression line. We know how to do that. And in Chapter 12, we'll be looking at how to do tests for data and significance tests for data like that. Number 6, this is a two-way table, and it, let's see here, comes from an experiment. So because this is not a single random sample, it's from a randomized experiment, that's a chi-squared test for homogeneity. Number 7, we've got a two-way table here of 2 categorical variables, And you can see here, did this come from a single random sample? Yes, it did. So this is a chi-squared test for association independence. And last, number 8, you can see that this is one categorical variable. This is a one-way table, and we do have a preconceived assumption that it would follow these proportions. So this is a chi-squared goodness of fit test. You might want more practice with this. So I would suggest going to this website. It's also linked on MyHA. And when you go to this website, you will see a page that looks like this. And basically, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to select just the tests that here we go. You're going to want to select just the tests we've been using in this chapter, which are these 3 chi-squared tests. So check those 3 boxes. Then when you hit submit, it will start giving you situations and you select which one you think it is. If you select that's the right answer. If you select the wrong answer, it will give you a little frowny face and tell you what to look for. And when you select the right answer, I guess their smiley face image is broken, but it will tell you you're right, and then you can move on to another one. So you can do as many of those as you'd like, but that's what you should work on next before you take your progress check today. And of course, if you have any questions, please shoot me an email.